Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Genuine Chit-Chat. This week I'm with the real Brandon Taylor. Now, some of you may know Brandon from his Instagram page, Taylor's Trades, as well as the website that goes along with it. He's essentially a middleman for exclusive streetwear. So in this chat, we talk about sort of his role, what he kind of does, along with just general streetwear things such as the brand Supreme. And we also talk about like loads of things. We talk about passions and sort of work ethic and how he sort of got to where he is now and where he's kind of going, sort of looking introspectively as well at your own faults. He does detail about how his job works, that sort of thing as well. So, it's a really good chat for entrepreneurs, people who want to pursue passions, and people interested in general streetwear and things. Because, I've seen Supreme written about pretty much everywhere, especially in a lot of the big rappers talk about it or wear the gear. And I don't really know much about it. So it's really interesting hearing about that sort of thing, as well as the sort of the realm around it. Now, just a little pre-warning. I did go off on a little ramble for the first 8 minutes or so of this podcast, so I do apologise for that. But after the 8-minute mark, me and Brandon get into the sort of the core of the discussion. We talk a lot more about the sort of streetwear and that sort of thing as mentioned previously. So yeah, if you can make it through the first 8 minutes, or if you just want to skip through the first 8 minutes, and that is perfectly fine, because then we get into the more juicy conversation. Before we get started, just two quick things as well. A shout out to the Casual Birder podcast, hosted by Susie. It's a fantastic podcast. Susie is amazing. Any people in the podcast world, if you've been to any podcasting events around the UK, you've probably met her, to be honest. She's awesome. You should go check out our podcast. It's called the Casual Birder podcast. You can find it on Instagram or on the usual podcatcher apps and that sort of thing. So just go check it out. Each episode's only quite short. See what you think. If you like it, you can subscribe. If not, no worries at all. You've given it a go. And before we get started, there's a promo for the Movie Bunker podcast, so be sure to check those guys out too. And I'll be back at the end.
Hello, it's Chris here from the Movie Bunker podcast. Just thought I'd interrupt your usual listening pleasure to tell you about our podcast, The Movie Bunker. Here's Matt, my co-host, speaking more eloquently about what we do.
What we do, Chris, is we chose, in this saturated podcast market of moviness, not to follow the herd and go and review excellent films or popular films. We've chosen to delve into the past and find poorly rated films that we review. We watch, obviously, that helps the reviewing procedure. Then we review them. But the purpose, the holy grail, the goal of this is to find film or films that have been poorly reviewed unfairly. That we've gone, listen people, don't look at this 2-star review. No. This is a 5-star piece of entertainment.
Well, we'll do it. We'll find a film that we both enjoy, or we can have a wrestle about.
So there you have it. That's the premise of our podcast. If you think that's something you might like, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. And you can follow us on Twitter. We have a Facebook page, so get involved in the discussion. Let's talk about these critically panned stinkers together. Thanks for listening, and see you in the bunker.
Welcome to Genuine Chit-Chat, where we have honest conversations with interesting people. And I'm your host, Mike Burton.
Views aren't currency, but you don't want to feel like you're fucking...
No, of course not. It is, especially with YouTube. YouTube is very much a numbers game and things like that, whereas with podcasting it's a bit more saturated in the way that, like, people listen on Spotify and iTunes, and I put it on YouTube, but no one listens to it on YouTube at all. I put it on there for almost no reason. It's just another platform. Then there's like iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbean. Then there's all these other apps like Podcaster, Podcatcher, all these things. It's just that you don't know what all your numbers are all the time. It's just like a vague idea. The first one from the movie is just so damn good. Oh, I love that with David Hasselhoff and his like nipples come apart and then like shoot SpongeBob and Patrick down. That is amazing. But yeah, it's what were we saying? we're talking views and stuff, aren't we, with YouTube? You asked me earlier why I stopped doing YouTube and stuff. It was like, because me and Reese were doing it, and you'd have to drink that once. Just chug it all, so you'd have to drink any for the podcast. But yeah, it's like, with YouTube, one of the reasons I stopped doing it was because it was a lot more work, because I'm sure you found when you're doing YouTube stuff, it's like, for every like few minutes you record, you also have to edit it, and you can try and do edits where it's just like you record yourself and that's it, and you don't edit it or anything like that. But it's still, you have to upload it, name it, tag it, description, share it on social media. Like, the thing that I like the least amount about podcasting is that I don't like having to share everything on Instagram and things like that, because I don't mind social media, because I use Facebook and stuff obviously before I had the podcast, but it becomes a thing where you have to basically every day, and where no one knows who I am, obviously, no one's going to go, what, Mike Burton, he's doing a podcast? Yes. It's like, no, I have to try and entice people and make my stuff sound interesting. So it's like, I have to share on Instagram, try and use as many hashtags as it will let me, try and, do collaborations with other podcasters, which I'm happy to do, and it's going to be fun, but like, there's like promos and stuff. Like, relatively every episode I release, there's like a 30-second promo after I do my little intro thing. And they play my promo because it's spreading out, and it's all about, like, I imagine in like the music game with like a lot of rap especially, it's all like collaborations and stuff. Because it's like, okay, because I think it's not how Post Malone started, because he just released White Iverson, but there's quite a few rappers who, I think Eminem, I think, because he released the album Infinite that no one heard, and then he was on Forgot About Dre, and I think then he released Slim Shady LP, I think.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I haven't listened.
You recording?
Yeah. Bam. Right in there, dude. Slam dunk. Like, subtle. It's easier that way, and I don't have to worry about doing the whole awkward. There's nothing like when people like come over, and especially people who, some people, like when I spoke to Steph from school and things like that, like, I haven't spoken to her in like 10 years. So, well, not 10 quite, but, like 8 years or whatever. And it's like, well, what do you say? Well, actually, think about it. It's almost 10, I guess, or whatever. But it's like, if there's not a natural flow of conversation, you just go,
no, I'm just intrigued how you're going to start it. Like,
or just, I used to, when I first started out, it used to be press record. Then it was like, hey guys, I'm here with blank, and we're going to talk about blank. And it'd be like, you can't have, no one talks like that. Like, you can't, and it kind of makes the start a bit shaky. But I just find if I just put the mics ready, check the sounds and stuff, and then just kind of press record whenever, then if the conversation either stops or is crap or anything, I'll just edit it out. Yeah.
Do you not think with, like, sort of all entertainment at the moment, there's a lot of like falseness? Because that's one of the reasons why I stopped YouTube videos as well.
Oh, really?
Because I don't want to wake up every day and be like, hey guys, today I'm going to be going to this. Like and subscribe, buy my merchandise. Like, no.
I was waiting to think of that, not Logan Paul, his brother,
Jake Paul,
where he's got that song, Buy That Merch.
Oh,
you heard that?
Yeah.
That's the worst song ever. It's just, but it's so funny because it works, because he makes loads of money from doing it. So I was like, well, to be fair, I think it's the cancer of music, but he's making more money from that one song than I probably will in my life. So who's the real idiot here? Me, who's thinking I'm better than him for not releasing that? I mean, I say to people before, like, when Bieber was getting big, I was like, I don't like Justin Bieber's music, to clarify, but when he released Baby and all that sort of stuff, and a lot of people slating it, I was one of the first, well, not one of the first, but out of the people I knew, I put my hand up straight away and I was like, look, if some record producers came up to me, even though I'm a shit singer, if record producers came up to me and said, look, release this song, feature Ludacris, yeah, the lyrics are crap, but you're going to make a fuck ton of money, I will be like, I will sign that right fucking now.
That's like, the thing, like, you can sell yourself out for money, and a lot of people in the entertainment industry do.
Yeah. But it depends where you are. Like, for example, if this podcast, say it got big enough that I could sustain a career out of it, okay, and then I was making enough money. If some sort of agent came in and said, look, I can make you twice as much if you start doing this, I'd be like, no, fuck off. But like, because podcasting, this is my thing. I've done everything from scratch from the start, and whatever I end up building is off my own back and all my own work. Yeah. But if it was something that like singing, I'm a terrible singer and I can't write songs or anything. So if someone just came along and said, I don't know. Sorry?
Have you tried?
I'm not bad with lyrics, because me and Reese actually released a rap song in college, It was the backing track was a song called I can't remember what it was called actually, but it's by a dubstep artist called Blackmill. It's like really chill. I think the genre was actually chill step. And we just, for a laugh, we just recorded loads of like diss lyrics to all our mates in college. It's terrible, but it's great at the same time. It cracks me up. But it's very
wanna hear
embarrassing. I can show you if you want. It is cringy as fuck. But yeah, it's called the Drift Diss Rap, and I think it's on the Visual Digest YouTube channel, which is where me and Reece used to release all our stuff.
I'll listen.
Yeah, you can go ahead, mate. It is bad.
I'll spit a verse on it.
Oh yeah, you can. Mate, go ahead.
Spit a verse right now.
Yeah, right now we'll just do a freestyle rap. Like, go ahead, that'll be it. But yeah, I can't write music. I used to play keyboard in school, but I'm not like musically talented in that way. I occasionally get the odd tune in my head, but like my dad and my brother are really musical. I have ideas, and I haven't really tried properly writing lyrics, but like I have an alright vocabulary, and when I've written, I haven't written a huge amount of lyrics before, but I went through a weird phase a few years back where I just had loads of lyrics in my head, so I wrote them down, and they sounded alright. I'm not going to say I'm some sort of sick lyricist, I'm going to fucking go against Eminem. No, it's just maybe, you know?
I write lyrics every day.
Really?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Yeah.
Nice.
I've loved music like my whole life, but lately it's just been a bit obsessive.
Yeah. Why the hell not, man?
I used to hate like streaming because I was always like, no, I'm gonna buy that album, I'm gonna support that person, like, and then I eventually went over to Apple Music and I just download Apple Music playlists all the time. And
well, exactly. I was in the same boat because I've got in my car I had CDs and stuff, and I've got a box of CDs upstairs and stuff, and I was always like, no, I've got to support the artist and all that sort of stuff. And then I got Apple Music as well. I'm on Spotify now, but I was on Apple Music, and I was just like, I really want to buy CDs, but CDs cost about 10 quid a go, and Apple Music costs less than 10 quid for a month. And it's like, I can literally, you tell me an artist right now, I can have it downloaded on my phone within about 10 seconds.
yeah, one of the things that I used to always assume as well is that it wasn't on your phone, like,
Yeah.
and it was always
It was streamed.
Yeah, but it's not like that now, is it?
No,
So-
it's not. You can just download it straight. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's with Spotify. It's like you can stream anything while you're on 4G, but if you want to download it, you don't have to be on Wi-Fi, but you have to swap the options to turn it off. But like, if I'm out, there's a couple of playlists where they create like a daily mix for you. Like,
I've heard Spotify so much better.
I thought Apple Music was going to be the same as Spotify, and then I changed to Spotify, and I was like, okay, Spotify is probably better. But
I might have to change.
it's very little in it, to be honest. But one of the reasons I wanted to get you on here was to talk about your business, even though, would you call it a business? It's almost more of an enterprise.
Do you know it's in its first year? Obviously, hopefully HMRC aren't listening, but it's in its first year. It'll be like a year in November.
Yeah.
But I'm actually selling it off to my friend before that, so. But I've got the option to take it back whenever, so it's not too bad. But yeah, it's like any sort of self-employed. Like, obviously, some months you're like, yeah, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And then some months you're like, like what? Should I just close this right now or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, it's weird because I've probably taken about £1 million cash.
Wow, fuck.
And I've obviously not personally. Like,
That's not like, you're not like a billionaire or anything.
And I've probably dealt with, probably like 2 mil clothes wise. Like,
Wow. Yeah.
because every week I'm dealing with like
If you vaguely, like,
30,000 in clothes. Like,
if you want to give a brief summary of what it is you do, because obviously I'm aware of it. But
let me
like,
just load up the Instagram actually. So the Instagram.
Yeah, I'll put a link in when I post this episode. I'll tag you in the Instagram, and I'll put links in the description, all that sort of stuff as well.
So I've got like I've got like 4 Instagrams, but I made an Instagram just for my business, and so you can imagine I was doing it before I made that Instagram as well, because I was like, shit, okay, I actually need an Instagram for this.
Yeah.
And I've put up 1,414 posts.
Okay.
So that's probably at least 1,414 different deals that I've been involved in.
Yeah.
And each deal is usually like 2 pieces of clothing swapping.
Yeah.
So I just help people buy, sell, and trade clothing.
Yeah.
It's usually really expensive clothing. Like
the Supreme, I remember, was quite a big one that you were doing.
Yeah, I'm pretty much like an expert in Supreme. Like if you were gonna use any way to describe what I do, it's like helping people buy Supreme. Like they save money and I make money, so
Yeah.
everyone wins really.
Well, yeah, exactly. Do you think, once again, getting into this, I don't have to delve too deep into the inner workings of whatever you don't want to talk about, but like, is it like, has the industry of clothing, for example, is scalping a thing? Like, for example, with gig tickets.
Oh yes,
You get people who buy like, 100.
We don't call it that though. We call it reselling.
Right. Is that, because I didn't know if that's what has helped you in a sense, because so many people probably buy it and sell it at such a ridiculous, unfathomable price, and you're like, well, I'm just going to buy it and sell it.
Do you know, actually, I told someone that I'm not a reseller because I don't do that personally. I don't buy stuff. I think I've done it like once with a hat when I was like in college and I made like £10 profit. But yeah, I don't resell. And I was having an argument with some guy, and he goes, "Yeah, but you're an enabler." I was like, "Shut up! Like, I'm helping people here. Like, that's ridiculous." But yeah, I guess reselling has helped me because you get these guys. Like, I think soon I'm dealing with a 35,000 pinball machine.
Right.
So obviously the pinball machine was only like 7,000 only.
Yeah.
But yeah, someone's bought it, and the value's just gone up and up and up, and to be honest it will probably go beyond that. I don't know. And I'm going to be involved with that soon. What else is there that I sort of,
because there was I saw you posting about a lot of vans and things like that, the shoes, not the vehicle, like a lot of shoes and stuff, because there's a lot of, because I listened obviously quite a few podcasts, and on there they were talking about Yeezys quite a lot and things like that, and like the demand for Yeezys and all sorts of other things. Like,
see, this is the thing. Like, so you were wearing a pair of Star Wars Vans earlier. I love just looking at people's outfits.
Yeah.
And Vans will produce them in such a high quantity that they're not really going to be worth anything more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you keep them brand new condition for 10 years, and then they're probably going to be worth more. It's hard to say, but when sort of the brands that I deal with release products, they always do less than the demand.
Yeah.
So then there's always that secondary market.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Well, yeah, it's like there's certain. Obviously, we're both into gaming and stuff, and I've actually got a collector's edition of Fallout New Vegas, which I haven't actually opened, funnily enough, and it's like a box set. I think there's like 9,000 of them that exist of this specific one, and it's like a leather box. You open it, there's the game in there, there's poker chips from Vegas, there's like an art book, and there's a few other things in there. I can't exactly remember what it is, and it's got like the stamp of number 3,000 and whatever.
Oh, that's cool that they've numbered it, because that helps value as well.
Yeah, exactly. And like my parents, for example, they always quite liked buying. They bought. It's not going to be worth anything now, but Rolf Harris. They bought a Rolf Harris painting. Yeah, I know. They bought. This was like years and years and years ago. This was like.
Hand it into the police.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like 15 years ago or something. And it's like that obviously was a bad investment, unfortunately. But it's the sort of things of when it's limited edition. That's what's caused this whole thing. Like,
yeah.
Because with I collect steelbooks as well, which are like these limited edition metal case things.
I've seen.
Yeah, I post about it online quite a bit. So, but there's certain ones like Disney do it where they'll release. Disney have something called the Vault. They did it before steelbooks were a thing. They did it with DVDs. Where
is it Disney Classics?
Disney Classics do it as well, but all the Star Wars now, all the Marvel films, where they go for 1 month. Anyone can buy pre-order a like the new Guardians of the Galaxy steelbook or whatever, and then at a point they'll just go nope. And you can't get them anymore, and that's it. They never.
They should do it for 24 hours. You see how much the value would change then. Like,
oh god, yeah. Is that what sort of Supreme do and that sort of thing?
So Supreme usually release clothes every Thursday at 11 a.m. They do have like seasonal breaks and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, so they'll have like right now we're in the fall winter 2018 collection.
Yeah.
And they'll release stuff every Thursday. you never really know what's going to come out. Like, you get insiders, which sort of, honestly, it's so weird. Especially when I talk about it, I actually realise how weird it is.
Yeah.
And on like a Monday, sometimes you get an email saying, look, we're collaborating with this other brand and it's going to come out this week. And you're like, oh shit. If it's like an item that you really like and you're like, I got to find £400 to buy this item.
Yeah.
I got like 4 days. Yeah, no, it's so weird. So a lot of the time you'll be on the store and the store's been up for like 5 minutes with the new stock.
Yeah.
And it's sold out, like all colours, all sizes.
Jesus.
And then you're like looking on eBay and various other social platforms. Is it even a social? No, not social.
I think it's an auction platform, I guess.
Yeah.
Selling
So
platform.
like various places, and people will put them up for like double the cost. And you get all these little kids into it at the moment that they just see it as a money making sort of thing, and they're like trying to get you to pay so much more, and you're like, that ain't worth that. Like, I could have got that. Like,
Yeah.
But the items that sell out straight away, yeah. And there's always like iconic pieces as well. So they're going to release Supreme box logos in November, probably. They'll be like £150, but they'll sell out in like a second.
Wow.
And they'll be going for like 500.
Jesus.
Like, I know that recently I just helped someone sell one for like 550. So that's easy, like 350 profit. And I'll take my like tiny, stupid £10 or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. You know, you just take these, you help these people. It's, to be honest, it's like anything. It's a service.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the thing is where the line is of, you know, okay, well, if you're an accountant, you know, you just help people with money, but you take money as well doing it. If you're a banker.
My accountant charges me $1,000 a year.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not actually that bad. Like, it's...
Oh, it makes me feel sick.
Probably. I mean, I'm to be fair, like, I couldn't do that, but then again, my finances are quite easy. It comes in, and then my bills come out, and there's little left. But, everything's like a service. I mean, you get a mechanic to sort out your car. I mean, they have to make a profit.
I start, like, this is why I got pretty lucky, actually. I don't think people really realise how lucky I did get. Yeah. Someone randomly asked me one day to do sort of middlemaning. Yeah. Just because I was doing favours in that Facebook group, and I came across like a trustworthy person. I mean, obviously I've just, my whole life I've been a trustworthy, honest person. Yeah. And I was ill with Crohn's disease, so I wasn't working. I felt like I was wasting my life. And I started doing it like full time, sort of just helping people. A lot of the time I was actually losing money because they'd send me like £5 to post an item. I'd go to the post office and it'd be like £5.60. Yeah. And I'd be like, look, don't worry. Like,
but that all adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then like probably a year went by of me doing it for free. And I was like, I am spending my fucking, like, all my time on this. What am I doing? And my girlfriend at the time as well, like, sometimes she'd have to help me. And so I introduced a charge, and the charge just keeps going up. But a lot of people will tell you now, like, I should be charging double what I charge, or in some cases even more. Like, there's been a few times where I've done like transactions worth thousands, and I've only come out making £15 or £20, which is good if you're doing like 5 of them in the same day. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes it's like, shit, I should really be doing better. Yeah,
it's a weird one, especially because when you're kind of doing it, you try to especially when you started off doing it more so as a favour, you're like, you kind of feel bad for charging people, but you're like, I have to charge something. And then people are like, you could charge more. And it's like, I know I can, but you kind of don't want to. It's a weird...
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like... So, lately I'll charge like £8. Yeah. Obviously, the £8 pure profit.
And what does that include out of interest?
That's a whole nother question. I'll get to that in a sec.
Okay, yeah, no problem talking about that. Sorry, yeah.
No, like, honestly, the things that are expected of me for that tiny amount now. So yeah, I started charging £8 like probably a year ago. Yeah. Year before that it was like £5. And I swear I did more business when it was £5. So I've kind of screwed myself over because, but I don't know, the way that the whole sort of industry's going anyway is everyone's trying to save money, everyone's trying to make maximum money.
Yeah.
And you got some people out here trying to build a name for themselves, so they're doing free middlemans, and so people are going to them, and I'm like, look, my service is so much better. Like, you really want to save that little amount of money? But nah, it's a strange one. Life is moving in a strange direction every day.
Especially being self-employed, where it's all off your own back and sort of thing, and you've got to find.
That's the thing. Like, I've had to start taking opportunities which are sort of guaranteed money. Like, I've just left business in Southampton, shown in video. It's like the best place ever.
I love showing a video is great. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I love showing a video.
But I've just had to leave there. But I was working there as well for like some guaranteed on the side.
Yeah.
Like shit. So.
Yeah, like consistent money. I put in 20 hours a week, whatever, I get X amount back. Yeah, man. So what? So in the realms of everything, what kind of do you do? Then, as I say, you don't have to go into too much detail. But
no, we can go. We can talk about this forever. Like, this is the thing as well. As of recently, I've started saying to people like, it will be £20 all in, all in.
Yeah.
Because sometimes like I'm too honest, and I'm like, yeah, so it's £8 fee plus £10 shipping plus blah blah blah. But a lot of the times I want to make more than that £8. So I just like, if you go to get your car fixed, they're not going to say, oh look, we're going to charge you £400 for our time and our work and that. But the part's only £10. Like, I know some of them will, and sometimes they do. But
there's the difference of like, there's the added value, and some are a bit more honest than not. Different places charge you different amounts for their time, the parts, etc., etc. So yeah, I totally get that.
Sorry, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's the 20. So the fee that you take. What do you?
Oh, okay, yeah.
What's the service?
So the service is helping people buy, sell, and trade, helping people save money. You know, PayPal charge like 4% on a purchase, and to protect you. So using me as a form of protection, which I won't charge 4%.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, you can rig PayPal as well, but there are some ways you can sort of. It's quite hard to scam when I'm involved.
Yeah.
But I have been involved in a couple of like little things, and I guess in a way I can't fix things as good as PayPal. In some cases, like I don't have that financial backing. Like,
100%.
I can't take like 400 out of my own pocket and be like, look, I'm sorry that this happened.
Yeah.
But luckily I've never really dealt with that. So lately, a lot of people want to know that the condition is good and the item is authentic. We've got a massive problem with fake items, especially Supreme, but like the whole country in general, like the whole world in general. Like, for some people, they don't care if items are fake, but with what I'm involved in, that is the biggest deal. Like, if you're spending 400 on an item and it turns out to be a £10 item made in China, like, you're going to be pissed.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, I really need to start looking at stuff on my phone, because that's where
that's all the magic happens. So you're an authenticator. Oh man, I don't even know the word, so I'm not smart enough. Authenticator. Some people will be listening to this.
That is the thing.
They'll be screaming at me, being like, "How can you not know the word?" So,
right.
Sorry.
I've got 4 bullet points. Whenever anyone asks me to do a middleman for them, I send them these documents.
Okay.
And it goes, how my service works. Both parties send the items to me. I open the packages and take photos/videos to send to yourself to confirm item and condition.
Yeah.
I cannot talk. 3, I give a brief legit check. NB. My friend wrote this up for me. What does NB mean? But anyway, NB. This is purely on an advisory basis and is by no means certified. I'm happy to take as many photos as needed for you to post on Facebook groups for a legit check. I'm not accountable for any merchandise that is found to be illegitimate. 4, I ship your items to you the day after I've received both of them, provided that both parties have confirmed they are satisfied. So I do have a good knowledge of like what's fake and what's not, but I've just never wanted to be held accountable for that.
That's understandable. Covering your
Yeah,
own back
because
and
it would cripple me.
yeah, exactly. If you say,
Especially
"Oh,
with
I'll
some
give
of
you
the
full refund," it's like, oh,
yeah. I've always said to people as well, if I added that onto my service, my sort of customer base would probably double, triple, whatever. But I can't unless like someone with millions wants to invest in me, and then we can talk about something. But I can't. And it's weird. Like in the future, no, I can't.
You've got a lot of stuff. I know you're a busy guy. You've got a lot of stuff going on. But I'm very intrigued by this. So how did it kind of start in a sense? Like did you obviously you said with you had Crohn's and you were kind of out of action. And I've got a friend of mine who was on the podcast in I think episode 7 or something. So quite a while ago now, quite a few months ago, and she has Crohn's, and we had a whole episode, we talk about loads of things, but for about 20-25 minutes she was talking about Crohn's.
Yeah.
So I don't know a huge amount about Crohn's now, because a lot of it I've probably forgotten, but we spoke about Crohn's, and I didn't realise the gravity of how much Crohn's can just knock you out, and you just
yeah, like there's people literally like dying from it. Like,
yeah.
I know that there's probably I guess when you get kind of older you can die from
It depends on how your body
actually.
reacts to it and stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we are 60, the medical science is going to be way different from people when they were 60, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with mine, like they actually said to me as well. They were like, because I had I guess to just sum it up, say a spot, and it burst.
Right.
And they said, look, if that burst internally, you'd probably just died.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
But it burst externally. So.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah, because I know, because my friend Carla, she was saying she gets infusions, because I think it's...
Yeah, I get infusions.
Yeah, because like your body can't... Is it vitamin D or something like that?
I don't...
It's something like
just lay there.
There's some sort of, your body can't process when you eat food with certain vitamins and minerals or whatever, and your body just doesn't take them out or doesn't process them properly.
Yes, I know that at one point they told me my body wasn't absorbing sort of goodness from foods.
Yeah.
But it was weird, like with my Crohn's disease, like a lot of people think it is to do with your sort of going to the toilet.
Yeah.
But with me, it was never that.
Oh, okay.
I just lost loads of weight, was really thin. I was like being sick. I couldn't sit down because of these spots.
Right.
Because you imagine it, you've got spots on you, like you sat.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
pressure on it, isn't it? And no, I was just unable to do really anything.
Yeah, yeah. And when that was happening, obviously, when you have a lot of time to yourself and a lot of time to think, and a lot of time to be online and stuff, were you into sort of the sort of, I don't know, how does Supreme brand call itself? What are these sort of clothing brands? Do they call themselves elite clothing brands or just big brands?
They just I think they just refer to themselves as a clothing brand. Like,
yeah.
But it would be ignorant to like dismiss them as like one of the biggest sort of clothing companies. I don't even know. I think I see a lot of people wearing Supreme in Southampton now, but I think they have like 1 million likes on Facebook. How many millions do they have following them on Instagram? But yeah, they're quite a big clothing brand, I guess. But it's weird as well because although they're big, they only have a few stores. But I guess that adds to their whole sort of
limited run sort of thing, exclusivity, isn't it?
Like you go to the London store, you're queuing to get in.
Really?
Like every day as well. Even when the clothes have released on the Thursday and it's like the Tuesday. So it's been like 5 days. But I remember when I was first into Supreme, it would just be a queue on the Thursday.
Right.
So I can see over time, and even with like my customers as well, like I don't want to be horrible. I love my customers, but over time, like younger and not more annoying, like wanting more and more, and like it's annoying.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. Isn't it? Like, what you have a niche, and you have people who say really know what they're talking about, are really into it, and as you slowly expand, you get people who are more novice in that thing, or more amateur in a sense, who slowly kind of delve into the world. And obviously, some people are new to it and learn, and some people are just dicks.
Yeah, like I've only been into it for like 4 or 5 years, which is by no means sort of expert, but I've taken such a high involvement in it, and for the last like few years, it's been crazy.
Yeah, man. Well, so it's like before you start actually. So you say you've been in the realm in a sense for a few years. Is it like however many years ago you kind of saw this brand and you really liked it, so you started buying their stuff, and then you noticed the demand, or what kind of flicked the switch on to make you realise?
So I was just buying sort of clothes, not just from Supreme, but that is like even now that's my favourite brand.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I joined some Facebook groups sort of revolved around talking and buying of Supreme.
Yeah.
And then this other group spawned, which was sort of streetwear and everything revolving around streetwear.
Yeah.
And that's when someone first asked me to sort of do the middleman, and then just grew and grew and grew. And I administrated that group for a long time as well, but we just saw things different. I made a few fuck ups. I don't administrate that group anymore, and I'm sort of my own
entity.
But that so yeah, in a way, I still like that group, and I always say how grateful I am for them, because they sort of changed my life and built this business for me in a way. Like I won't take away my own hard work, but I know how much they put me on.
Yeah. That's always good. Remember who helped you.
Yeah.
That's always a very important thing of any part of your life.
I message. I probably haven't been involved in like helping them for like a year now. I messaged one of them the other day. I was like, "Look, I'm sorry for what happened. I was a bit of a dick. Like I think because of my Crohn's disease as well. Like I'm still behind on some stuff. Like I'm 24, and a lot of the times I think, fucking hell, I'm acting like I'm 18. Like, even the fact that I'm still living at home, like, I won't be for much longer, but it, like, pisses me off. Like, I think to myself, I'm not growing as a 24-year-old would sometimes. Like,
that's very interesting.
But then I have done a lot of things which, like, are good at 24, you know what I mean? Like, having that business and...
It's very interesting. It was very healthy and very good that you are introspective in that sort of way, because like the way one grows is by looking at yourself and going, I don't like this or that.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone in the world, if anyone says they don't get these moments, they're a fucking liar. But everyone gets those moments when you're in the shower and you remember that moment.
I just think people aren't honest with it, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, I always say to people, like people will say to me, I've got an ego and I think too much of myself, blah, 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 but fuck them.
You're motivated. You've got shit to do. You want to do what you want to do.
Also, at the same time, like, I don't really know that many people that know themselves as much as I know myself. Like, I know every fucking stupid thing that I've done and that I do, and all the things that I do that are wrong and that, and just work in progress.
I feel something about myself as well. I mean, I've had it before. Now, this is going to sound really egotistical, me saying this, but like, I try not to be egotistical because I've had an issue in the past of me thinking I'm so fucking brilliant when I'm not. But like, I've spoken to people about me trying to be honest and be like, look, I can be a dick in this way. I can be argumentative. I can think that I'm right when ridiculously right about everything when I'm not, and all these sorts of things. And people seem really surprised when I'm like, oh yeah, no, I fucked up. I used to be an asshole. And people seem to be weirded out by it, because people are like, normally it takes people to get to 30 or 40 or even to have kids before they kind of realise that. And it's just like, well, no one's perfect. You just, like, myself included, it's like sometimes I'm a dick and I'm sorry every time I am.
It's so funny because I split up with my ex-girlfriend in like December of 2016.
Right.
And I apologised to her last week.
Really? Wow.
And I was like, look, because I think what spawned it is I've dated quite a few girls since, and it's like, fucking hell, you really like, you don't understand me. Like, but yeah, I said to her, I was like, look, I know this is a bit weird, but I just wanted to apologise because like she helped me with my business, she helped me through Crohn's disease, she helped me through anxiety. Like, like I broke my heel at one point from jumping out an abandoned shopping centre in Southampton.
Was that bike?
Yeah. like that girl put up with so much, like, and nowadays, like, these girls can't even put up with the fact that I'm trying to like make cash.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm so sorry, like, Yeah, I still did the right thing by splitting up with her, but
We're still, you have a path to follow and a journey, and you may not all, even if you make the right decisions, a lot of the time you don't necessarily do it in the right way. You know, I've broken up with women in the past. I'm dating someone new now, and she's awesome. But like women in the past, I've broken up with them, and even though it was the right thing to do, there have been times where I was like, that probably wasn't the best time. And there's definitely at least 2 of them, which was like, I broke up with them terribly. That was a really fucking bad way to break up with someone. Like, it wasn't by text for me or anything like that, but it's like, I could have worded it better, explained a bit more. One of them I broke up with, and I was just like, she wasn't, she had a lot of issues, if we put it that way, you know, and she got through them and stuff, and she's alright now and things like that, but at the time she had a lot of issues, and I couldn't deal with them. And instead of just...
heartless. No, I'm joking.
And instead of just like explaining that to her or being an adult about it, I didn't give her a reason. I was like, I'm just not into you anymore. And she was like, but you were telling me yesterday that you love me. I was like, yeah. And it was just like, I just had it terribly. And then she obviously got home and it made her even way more upset because she could tell I was lying. I didn't cheat on her or anything like that, but like she could tell that me just saying I just suddenly fell out of love with you overnight wasn't right. So it drove her crazy in a sense. And it was like, I look back on that and I go, if I was just honest with
when
her,
was it?
That was my first girlfriend. That was when I was 16. So you know,
You should apologise.
I've spoken to her since. To be fair, we don't talk much anymore, actually. But about a year or so ago, we were hanging out again for a little while, and we spoke all that sort of stuff. So with her, I have cleared the air. And one of my other exes, actually, who she was pretty unpleasant to me. I just randomly got a message from her. I think we stopped dating about 4 years ago, and she sent me a message like 6 months ago or something. It was early this year.
Did she apologise?
Yeah.
Mate, I love that.
And she sent me this message. She was like, I'm really sorry. Like, I acted awful to you. You know, it's been taken me this long, 4 years, to realise how awful I was to you and to loads of other people and all this sort of stuff. And, you know, I had some good times with her, but generally she wasn't the nicest of people. But then when I saw that message, I was like, and I responded to her, I was like, you know, but thank you for apologising. It's okay. I was a dick to you at times. Life is just all about growing. And even people really underestimate how important an apology can be. Because with me, for example, if someone's a dickhead to me or so awful or is really inconsiderate, if they are sincere and they're like, look, I'm really, really sorry. I didn't. As soon as they've said that, done. I don't care.
I think I apologised to you for being a dick at school.
Did you? Probably. And I think
I was the diggers.
Most people I think I know who see me now, they do generally like apologise. Like, I was a dick to you in school. It's like, dude, right. Me, when I was in school, I'm surprised I didn't get punched in the face more. Like, I swear, if I knew me then, I'd have hit... Like, I'm not a violent guy, but Jesus Christ, man. Like, I am surprised I didn't get beaten the shit out of. Like, I was hit in the face a few times.
That was a bad school, anyway.
Well, yeah, we went to a very chavvy school. I remember, like, one way to describe the school to people was one of the worst things was, like, people, like, actively taking knives and stuff like that, and it would be... Unfortunately, I don't think anyone got stabbed on premises or anything, but, like... I remember at one point trying to explain to people how bad the school was, where there was like a kid who was gay, and he was chased around the school by chavs, and they were throwing rocks at him and shit. And
Jesus.
it's like, fucking hell.
Could you imagine all that happening now?
Oh god, well if that happened now, I don't know what Chamberlain's like anymore.
No.
But like, I now where the way the world is
They'll
now.
get you to take this podcast down.
Oh,
You
yeah.
get an email like,
Chamberlain, like, you know, you've destroyed our school. Like, Chamberlain closes down or something. It wasn't. If the teachers ever caught you doing it, it's fine. But teachers, the problem is with bullying in schools. You know, you get schools saying we're going to stop bullying. It's like you can't. Like you just can't. Like
you have to get people to learn to deal with it. I think, like, as shit as that is, like, I can remember this time at our school, and someone tried to bully me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why people ever tried, but this guy was like, "Oh, you're so gay." I was like, "Yeah, do you want to kiss me?" And he was like, "What? You're a weirdo. You're a weirdo." And I'm just like, "Yeah, I am a weirdo, but you're like trying to come at me here, and you can't cope with my reaction to it. Like, go away, you loser. Like, what are you doing now?"
Well, it's funny you say that, because that's basically how I learned as well. Because, like, I kind of, I was bullied, not primarily verbally. There was a bit of physical, but when I was bullied in school, like, I was bullied for pretty much all of Chamberlain. But it wasn't. When I say it was a shit experience, but it did breed character for me. But one thing it kind of made me realise is around it was probably around 8 or 9, I kind of twigged on the fact, and I was like, and I actually had a conversation similar to this with a mate of mine on the podcast a while ago, and we were talking about being bullied and stuff, and it was like, well, all you need to do with bullying, not physical, verbal, is if someone's insulting you, you just roll with the punches and then you make them look dumb. Like with me, I used to get called, because I was obviously a fat kid and stuff, and people would always call me fat. And what I realised is if I called me fat before they did, then they look stupid and I look funny. Because towards like probably year 10, year 11, people stopped hating me as much. They just thought I was a bit of a dick. But I remember in year 11, a couple of people going like, you know what, Mike, you're not actually as bad as everyone thought. You're just a bit of a dick. And I was like, I'll fucking take that. But like, because all it was people call you fat, and it's like, they can't think of anything that clever. But because you're called it all day, every day, you can think of so many funny, clever things. And that's how, like, you take the bullets out of their gun, and then they've got nothing. You know? If I'm like, you know, someone makes a joke about Jabba the Hutt, and I go, hey, yeah, like me, and then everyone in the class laughs, and then someone else goes, yeah, because Mike's really fat. It's like, well, that's not funny, is it? You've just like, so that's kind of how I learned to deal with bullying. So you saying that makes complete sense. Bullies, they don't know. It's all insecurity, though. You know, when I used to. There was a period when I was in primary school where I wasn't a horrendous bully, but I bullied a little bit. It wasn't anything horrendous, but I was an asshole. And then I got bullied from year 5 and 6 and learned my lesson. But it's a weird one, because if I have kids, I would definitely not want them to get bullied. But I wouldn't be who I am if I wasn't bullied.
Yeah, and
It knocked me down a few pegs. Which I needed. I didn't need that. I had an ego problem, but I thought
I feel like pretty much everyone is going to experience it at some point. Like,
yeah,
as a sort of, it's a weird one, because like, I wouldn't ever say I really was, but people did try, and it's just like, it's weird. I can't really think what to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, with physical, obviously, I want to preface this of anyone listening. It's just like, if you're getting bullied and someone's physically bullying you, you can't just insult them back, because that won't work. There is a line in the sand of bullying. If a bully is like,
if it's physical, I don't really understand what you can do. Be physical back, probably. I don't...
Well, and the problem is normally it's because they're bigger than you. Like the chaps at some of our school, like there was a couple they grew up, they had like facial hair in like year 9 or 10. You know, I remember there was a kid, and I remember in year, I think it was year 9 or something. I remember he just walked past me and pushed me with his shoulders, like, as the chaps often did. I was like, thank you. And he was like, why the fuck hasn't your voice dropped? And I was like, sorry? I was like, that's something to be bullied over, because my voice hadn't dropped. Like, I can't control that. I'm sorry. And it was just like, people, if you could develop earlier, you're generally bigger. But it's kind of like women in the same way, isn't it? Because like, you noticed in school, certain girls who developed earlier, mainly talking about breasts, they would get all the male attention immediately, because obviously we're all hormonal, don't know what's going on. And then, you know, a girl like us has got boobs all of a sudden. It's like, holy shit. And then like, they would get all the attention, and then they would kind of, not all of them, but a lot of them would get this thing where they would become the popular girl, because then that girl would get all the attention from the guys. A lot of the girls would want to be friends with that girl, and then it becomes this weird hierarchy of just, if you develop early, you basically win in school, but probably lose in life because you don't develop a personality.
Jesus.
Not all of them, I want to clarify. Not every girl who developed breasts early doesn't have a personality, but, you know, a lot of them.
A lot of girls don't have a personality in general.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people don't as well. A lot of people have their job or their thing into it.
Right, when's this coming out?
Whenever you want me to, really. I've got...
To be honest, we can talk about it anyway. I'm going to put out sort of like clothing brand.
Yeah. Awesome.
And there's this, I'll show you this thing in a minute.
Yeah.
But it's like a t-shirt, and it says, why does everyone pretend? Because like everyone just...
That's
like,
a really good t-shirt design idea.
Yeah, I've done it with this girl that's like an artist. So
nice.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll promote the shit out of that stuff.
But it's just like, no, like people don't want to be themselves, and people like don't have personalities or whatever. Like, think how many people are stuck in all these jobs that they don't like and shit. Like, but one thing I hate about this city that we live in, and I suppose it's England in general, a lot of people are like looking forward to the weekend. Like they're living every day.
Yeah,
I can't even talk. They're living every day, and they're like, oh, is it Friday yet? And I'm like, and then what do they do on the Friday? They go to people they don't even like, in a club with music they don't even like, drinking away their Sadness.
Yeah, that happens. You know, it's part of Southampton. It's not just a lot of it is the Western world because we get forced to do these jobs that no one wants to do for 40+ hours a week for barely any money, and then you get home and you're so fucking exhausted. You're just like, I don't want to do anything, and it just becomes this thing of people live for the weekend, and then people are like. Humans have this weird thing about wanting to get fucked up. Like, when people drink, it's like, I got so fucking drunk the other night.
And I don't understand it. Like, I like to eat, but I don't go on social media and I ate 40 burgers last night. Like, look, I'm so dead today. I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack. Like, what? Like, what are you? I don't understand people.
It is weird, but it's a strange thing about. I think it's just smart creatures. I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of people I know aren't very smart, but like dolphins, they chew on pufferfish and get high off it, and elephants drink like fermented tree sap and things like that, and that gets them drunk. So it's just like
I can understand the desire. I mean, I don't really. With me, I only want to get fucked up when I want to like celebrate something.
Yeah.
But even then, like, it's like, who do I get fucked up with? And I'm trying to do so much shit. Can I really afford to waste time?
Yeah, well, you're an entrepreneur, so that's it. You laugh.
Can you call me that?
Yeah, you are definitely. Well, you started up your own business. You've got a lot of other things in the pipeline, as you've just mentioned, the clothing brand, a lot of other things I won't mention that we spoke about before the podcast. It's like, well, you're just trying to make your mark on this world, however, the way you want to, and I'm trying to do it similarly, but I'm not an entrepreneur because you've got your head in business. You're getting deep into the industries and stuff, whereas me, this is my thing. I mean, I'm a podcaster because all I want to do is talk to people who are far more interesting than I am and put it out there and be like, hey guys, I know people interesting. Pay attention to me so you can hear all these conversations with these other interesting people. Whereas you're like, excuse me, I'm burping now too. It's like you want to not only to make a brand for yourself, but there's loads of things you want to do, and you don't want to be stuck in that everyday 9 to 5, and that's kind of my dream in a way. Not like my job at the moment is fine. I'm enjoying it to a degree as much as I can, but it's not like I wake up on Monday like, fuck yes, get to go into work. But like, if I could do podcasting for a living, which, if I keep at it and stuff, the probably time frame is do this for like 10 years and I'll be able to make money off it or something. It's, you have to build.
You never know though. That's the weird thing.
You get a lucky break.
It's a, like, I guess you could say that I failed with YouTube.
Right.
I guess, like, at a time, I did want to do that as, like, a big thing. But Middleman and, like, I obviously found my lucky break or whatever. But,
and you're clearly good at it as well, so...
Yeah, and then whatever these other things transpire into, I'll probably fail at a couple. I might catch a break in a couple. Like, it's what you...
Like, try it whatever you can, man.
Yeah.
Something will work.
Yeah.
If you're motivated and you've got the, you've got the attitude that you... Because you in a similar way to me, I mean, you work much harder than I do, but like...
You don't know that.
Well, I think I do. But like, for example, with me in the podcast, okay, I have to post... every day I spend at least an hour doing something to do with podcasting, okay? But like, I have to... Every day I go on Twitter and see people asking for podcast recommendations. I've got loads of other people involved, as in... There's those people I know who I'm in something called the Brit Pod Scene. It's like a podcasting network thing with like, I don't know how many podcasts are in it. I think it's 30 or 40 or 50 or something. I don't know. The random numbers. And so when people, ask for recommendations of this genre of podcast or that genre of podcast, I, mention, my friends in this podcast are really great, or this podcast, or even podcasts that I've done promos with, or just podcasts I think are really good. I'll try and shout them out on Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. They reciprocate that as well. But I have to go on there and I have to network essentially with my podcast. I have to find guests. Today I was emailing some charities and stuff, and like I went to some heavy metal music awards last week, and there was a woman who hosted, and I think she's really cool. So I sent her a message on Twitter, and she said, well, email me, I'll speak to my bosses, maybe we can. If we can, it'd be awesome. But if not, it's not the end of the world. But I have to spend an hour a day of trying to I've got loads of notebooks full of, I've got, a little piece of paper there, like with scribblings on and stuff, and notebooks of ideas of podcasts with people I know, like Reese and Josh do gaming podcasts with, and then I've got friends to do political ones with, but then also there's charities I want to do stuff with, there's people who are musicians and stuff I want to do stuff with, so it's like, I have to network, But
Yeah.
that's also, I got a post on social media and stuff which bores the shit out of me. But then also I generally do it on Sundays, I release an episode. Well, that, I have to record the intro, the outro, do the artwork for it, write the description, the hashtags, work out all that sort of stuff, make sure it all sounds good, edit it, blah, blah, blah. And that takes, I'd say on a Sunday, if I'm quick, I can do it in like 2 hours. But generally it takes about 3 or 4 hours. So like 3 or 4 hours of a Sunday, I'm not doing anything that's fun. I'm doing something that I want to and feel like I need to do. And then the rest of the week, varying between half an hour and an hour a day of doing what I'm doing, because maybe you'll make a name for myself. I don't know, but it's keeping me at least distracted. And like you work in your free time, or obviously because you're working at Showing Video and stuff. When you weren't working there, you were doing sort of other stuff in your free time. When you were ill with Crohn's, like how many people get ill with like an immune disease and basically start a business?
Yeah, that is a bit wild.
Because you work hard and you've got this sort of.
Do you know? I think I work so well because people will come on here. No, I don't know, but yeah, some people even to this day like say I don't work hard, and they're like, the amount of people that are like middleman and isn't a job, or even when I was like doing it, people thought I would never like get paid for it.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of like my personal friends and that.
Yeah. People
and now I'm like,
your dreams
you look fucking stupid now, like, because I always believed in myself as well. But yeah, right. I need to think what we were saying.
Well, you're believing in yourself and kind of getting loads of work done, having the work.
Oh yeah. I think because I was so lazy for so many years that I was like, shit, what the fuck am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
Do I really want this life? Especially when I've got expensive taste. I'm like, I need cash to get that. Like,
why not?
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Well, yeah, man. It's all about your own. It's about work ethic and what you want to do. Like my friends tell me that I make my own life difficult because I'm just so busy all the time doing shit. I take days off work, like I did a few weeks back. I took a day off work to just go up to London just to do a podcast with someone. And just by chance on that day, some other podcasters I know were doing a podcaster meetup. So I met some other cool people, networking and shit like that, which is cool. But like I took a whole day off work just to go up to London to record an hour of a podcast with one guy. He's not famous. His podcast is the same sort of size as mine is. So it's not like this is a big break and I'm going to release this episode with him in a few weeks and then suddenly I'm going to explode in popularity. It's loads of little things that I'm doing to build and build and build. And that's kind of what you're doing in the sense of your own brand, your own name. It's just like people... But no, fortunately, no one that I know, to my face at least, has been super negative about my podcasting. I'm not one to say, look, podcasting is my job. I'm going to do it for money forever. I enjoy it loads. Like conversations like this, I'm really enjoying it. I wouldn't probably have had this conversation if I didn't do podcasting. And there's a lot of people and friends of mine that I've got closer to because of podcasting and sort of rekindled old friendships and shit. And it's like, that's really cool. But the end goal, if I would be if I could turn this into a job. That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But if I just tell everyone I'm doing this for a job, people are going to think I'm doing it for the wrong reasons, and then loads of people are going to go, well, yeah, but you're not going to, are you? So we know people in bands like my mate, Callum. He's in Placeholder and stuff like that. He would love for them to get big and tour the world and stuff. But if he just told everyone that all the time, people would then eventually tell him, you're not going to do that. You're going to fail. And it's like.
I don't understand though. Why do people? Why?
I think it's
like even in the past, I've done stuff that has brought in like pretty good money, and people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that," or like, and it's just like, why are you trying to make me feel shit about myself, man? Like, go fucking focus on yourself.
Yeah. I mean, my kind of thing in life is if you want to do something, just fucking do it. Like, as long as you're not like overtly hurting anyone. Like, as in, if your thing was, my passion is punching babies, I'd be like, well, probably want to shelve that and keep that hidden away forever. But if it's like, if I know friends who like drawing and shit, and if they said, look, I really want to get into this, I'd be like, okay, awesome. If you're passionate about something, fucking do it. And some people are just going to shit on you because usually I find people who are the most negative are just people who are just shit people, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, they have an issue with themselves, and rather than, like we were talking about earlier, looking at yourself and going, oh man, I was a bit of a dick then, I'm going to try and next time not be as much of a dick. And each time you are a dick, you're slightly less of a dick. They don't do that. They're an asshole, and then they blame everyone else for basically the shortcomings, and then they're like, then they can't understand why they don't succeed at anything. And it's like, because you can only get better if you recognise that you're not amazing all the time.
Do you know as well? I know so many people that like do not support their friends in any way. Like, say with this, like you've probably got some friends that could help you promote it. You've probably got some friends that could come on it.
Yeah.
And blah blah blah, and they just won't. Like, it's weird. Like, sometimes I think about stuff that I've got, and I'm like, damn, this guy can really help me with this. Or say someone that I know, I've seen a couple people buy like streetwear off places, and I'm like, why didn't you go through me?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you help? Like, we could have helped each other with that.
Yeah,
like,
mutual.
you know that I do this. Like, what are you? But I don't know. You can't force people to do stuff. But yeah, it's like,
That's a very good point. You can't. Sometimes I wish you could, but then if I could, then anyone could, and that would be, and that's how Putin works in Russia. So, like, I totally get what you mean. I mean, all my mates, fortunately, have been supportive of the podcast, and a lot of my mates have been on it. But some of them have said, "Look, I like what you're doing, but in all honesty, I don't want to talk and have it broadcast to everyone," which I totally get.
Yeah.
But if I ask the guys to, can you please do this? I mean, there's a couple where I've just said, it's a bit cheeky, but can you go on iTunes and just review it? You know, like, it's one of those things where it does actually help the podcast, and it takes 2 seconds to do, you know, and I will help you. I'll help people do anything. If people want to move house, do this, do that, I'll help them, because I just think, like, if no one helps anyone, everyone's fucked. But if everyone helps each other, we can all kind of go somewhere together.
Yeah.
And it's like, with people, like with my podcast especially, I'm like, even if you didn't come on the podcast or anything, if anyone I know has got shit going on and they want help promoting it or anything like that, I'm happy to share on social media or on my podcast Instagram page or anything like that. But like, if one is willing to come on my podcast, even if they don't want to talk about their thing, like obviously yours is the streetwear and all the other projects you've got, it's like, well, even if you didn't want to come on here, that'd be fine. But the fact that you've come on here, not only is it helpful for, you know, when I promote you, I can promote me. So, which sounds, to some people who aren't in anything they're interested in, they would think it sounds selfish. But in reality, it's collaboration, you know?
Yeah.
You coming on here, me, is beneficial, because if you post on your social media, anyone who's interested will listen to you, and anyone who listens to my podcast interested in streetwear will come to you. And then in the future, I will be a lot more happy for whatever projects you've got to promote you, and it's like mutual.
Yeah. Do you know, my first thought when you asked me, I was like, oh, that'd be quite cool to get people from Southampton to have more, like, if you've got people listening, like, especially some of your friends and that will listen. And I was like, oh yeah, and like, it would be kind of fun. Like, I've never really done anything like this. I've done like, I think I've done a couple like YouTube things with people. But it's mostly been for like their college or uni assignment or whatever that they've just happened to put out as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they had it, so they put it out. So
100%. Was also one thing I've got with my podcast is like, it's almost like once a guest, always a guest. Of like, I do Throwback Thursday on my Instagram page most Thursdays, where I release episodes that, like, when I released the first episode I had no followers, no one listened to it or anything.
Yeah.
But now that I've got, you know, quite a few thousand downloads, you know, and it's slowly picking up, more and more people subscribing, and, you know, getting hundreds and hundreds of listens per. Like, one of my episodes has got a lot more than anyone else. I don't really know what I've done on that episode differently. I wish I knew. But like, it varies depending on what platform, but one of them
he doesn't even know what episode.
It was my mate Jack. I'm going to get on at some point again. He has this heart condition called heart block, and he can feel his heartbeat all the time. And he said sometimes he'll have one beat every like 2 seconds. So it'll be like beat.
That makes me feel anxious.
And he was talking about the podcast. I was like, fuck it. And he was like, yeah, it feels really weird. I was like, dude. And he was like, it's just a condition. And that's had like 500 listens more than another one has, you know, the next one down essentially. But like, I'm getting, the numbers are now getting in the thousands, well, not now getting in the thousands, but they're getting in the more of the thousands, slowly getting near the 10,000 mark and this sort of thing. And it's like, it's really helping pay off. But like, as I keep going, I'm going to still reference old episodes. So the one I first did with Reese, that didn't get many listens because no one knew about it. But when I did the throwback, the numbers shot up because a lot of people hadn't listened to that. Yeah. And also, when people come on as a guest, if I do this for 10 years, which I'd like to do this forever, it'd be really cool, I really enjoy doing it, then ever a guest can always return. So like with you are always welcome on this podcast. If you ever have like, if you ever want to like release something, or you've got any other projects online and you're like, you want to kind of get almost a press release behind you in a sense, just hit me up and be like, I'm releasing this, you know, my streetwear or my this or my that, and just go, I'm releasing this. Excuse me. I'm releasing this in a few months' time. Would it be cool for me to come on the podcast and talk about it? But yeah, sure, we'll record it, and then I'll time the release around your release, and it's just collaboration. It's all it is, you know?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that's what I like about the podcast. And with my one, I've without really realising it, I've kind of lucked out where how many interesting people I know. But like, what's also good about this is I can get any podcaster on, so it's even easier to collaborate. Because like, a lot of podcasts, some of them are so niche. There's one which is all about Stranger Things, you know, the Netflix show. And all they do is talk about Stranger Things stuff. And that's fine, that's really cool. But you're quite limited to what you can do. With mine is just, I'll talk to anyone who's interesting. So like, other podcasters who've got shows, there's audio dramas, there's one to do about true crime and do about like old serial killers and stuff. Like, collaborating on that is very difficult with staying organic, you know?
Yeah.
Me just guesting on an episode with two people talking about serial killers is a bit like, it's a bit elbowed, you know, a bit kind of pushed in a bit. But my podcast is just, anyone's got something interesting to say that I think is worth anyone's time. Well, then, if they've got a podcast, they just come on there, talk about the podcast, and talk about whatever the fuck they want, you know? So I'm quite lucky, collaboration-wise, that I can have whoever on. But back to what you said, it does surprise me how little some people want to help others.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you found that a lot with, as you said before, with your middlemaning thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it middlemaning. Entrepreneurship.
What did I do before as well? So there was this T-shirt that I released ages ago.
Yeah.
And I can remember I was like, look, if I might release this. I'd drawn up a sketch or whatever.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, that's so cool. I'll buy one. Released it. Where the fuck were they? Like,
Yeah.
And also some of my friends were like, oh, can you give me a free one? And I'm like, I'm paying like money for this. If you want a free one, like, okay, I'd either have to really fucking like love you, like actually like, because I know so many people and I like so many people, but that doesn't entitle you to free stuff, like especially stuff that I've paid for and that could go to someone and like, you know,
especially if they're limited edition as well.
Yeah.
And that's the end of part 1. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. Next week will be part 2 of this chat, so, you know, be sure to stick around if you enjoyed this. And after that will probably be either the podcast I did with my friend Sophie, where we talk about Iceland and sort of online dating and a few other things. It may be, I've got a couple of other podcasts that I should be recording the next couple of days, so it might be one of them, including the one with me and Bradley. We're talking about movies and stuff. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see where these weeks go and what podcasts I can get recorded. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe and follow on the usual social media outlets, you know, iTunes, 5-star us, and like us on Instagram, blah, 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 blah. I would say generally just follow us on Instagram, us, me, whatever, Genuine Chit-Chat, because it gets on there. There's some snippets of the shows that I put on there, like 30-second clips. I also put in a lot of the time photos that go along with certain Instagram posts. I also do mini movie reviews, that sort of thing as well. So Instagram is really the main place to be following. Twitter's pretty good if you want to get into some other podcasts as well, because I have a fair amount of interaction with people on there too. So, you know, any of the social media platforms is cool. Facebook I use the least, Instagram I use the most. So, you know, keep that in mind. The only other thing really is just, I'm kind of contemplating putting up a Patreon page. I'm not really sure about it. I probably will end up doing it at some point. I was thinking about doing some sort of just a few solo recordings for anyone who does Patreon. You know, just myself rambling on about a few things, or maybe film reviews and a few other things. You know, I wouldn't take away from the interviews that I do or the chats that I do. I wouldn't not put any of them on there. It would just be probably just me rambling and raving on sort of bonus things, and then depending on the traction on Patreon would depend on where I go there in the future. But I don't know. I haven't really figured it out yet. But just thought that would be in the pipeline. So if you see that kind of coming up in the future, that's something to think about. If any of you guys would be interested, you know, hit me up. It will probably make me do it a little bit quicker. Yeah, I think that's everything really. So, you know, thanks as always for tuning in, guys, and I'll talk to you all next week.